Okay, I wanted to look like a professional YouTuber. I really did. I really wanted to look like a professional YouTuber, but I don't know how they memorize crap, and my script is over there. So if it looks like I'm looking over there to read, I am. Today I'm going to be talking about AI art. I don't think this is as simple as people made it out to be, and I hope I can at least present to you my viewpoint and why I don't think it's as simple as everyone on both sides, to be completely honest, is making it out to be. So first, I kind of want to talk a little bit about my background because I feel like that's a little bit important to understand my perspective, and yeah, just basically how I view art and how I view AI, and you can see my biases up front. First and foremost, I did graduate with a BS, which is a bachelor's of science in statistics and data science, and I took one machine learning course, and I also had an English minor. So for an English minor, I decided to kind of do something very techie, which I'm actually really glad I took this class. At least when I went, it wasn't that great when it comes to like AI. It wasn't really heavy, especially the type of AI that we're going to talk about in machine learning, because it kind of overlaps. Anyway, especially the type of machine learning slash AI that we're talking about today, we didn't really go over neural networks. It was kind of quick, and we weren't really quizzed on it. We didn't really have to do homework or labs with it too much, or even at all. We kind of had stuff to look over and kind of play with and just listen. So that's why I'm also going to give you that disclaimer. I'm not an expert into this. I'm just very passionate. Oh, okay, not very. I'm moderately passionate about machine learning. I really do enjoy machine learning and AI, and I just like data, and I'm all for data transparency, which this definitely goes into, but I'm also into data democratization, which this also plays into. With this debate, I think there are two-ish sides. Again, it's not black and white, even within the debate. So the first side are the people who are the artists, primarily, and they believe that the AI algorithms are infringing on their copyright, and that they're basically plagiarizing their work and stealing their work. That's kind of the gist of what I got from it. And they're really mad about the copyright. I think that's something that comes up again and again and again. And then the other side of it is basically saying, well, humans learn from this all the time. They learn from copyrighted data. So how does this make any sense? Like, why are you guys complaining? Also, I do have a sister. She's an art major, and she also has art in a gallery, and she has art online. And I'll kind of link her stuff below, or maybe put a picture, because she just had her first gallery stuff, so I'm really proud of her. So I know, not firsthand, but secondhand, how hard and exhausting art can be. I also knew I was friends with someone who had a roommate. I know that's like a lot, but she was an art major. She was a second art major I really had close contact with. And every time I saw her, like when I was going over to their dorm room, she would always be pretty much working, or her stuff would be laid out everywhere. And I'm like, man, she's doing a lot. So yeah, it's not as simple as people make it out to be. And so we'll kind of go over some solutions that I found on the internet that I thought could be good, because I also heard no one really talking about solutions that much for some reason. And I think starting talking about solutions, maybe we'll actually come up with some that seem pretty feasible, I guess. So yeah, let's get into it. So first thing we're going to talk about is, how is this AI trained? I watched a TikTok. I forgot the creator. If I find them, I'll put them down below. But they were basically comparing it to like getting sausages, like pre-made sausages, and then compounding the sausage and then like putting it out like a sausage factory. That's not how it works. And to be honest, we kind of really don't know how it works. I'm not going to go into the deep and technical aspect of neural network. I will provide a bunch of links that I found that I could explain what a neural network is. I also I did every link that I thought would help and that I used for this video. I'll put it in a Google Docs and it will be linked down below. So a neural network is, it's not the brain, but it's very closely trying to mimic the brain. I think that's very simplistic terms. So basically you have an input and you have an output. So it's in the machine learning world is called supervised learning, right? So you have an input and then it goes in this little black box. It does all its connections. We don't really know how it's coming up with these connections, and it is spits something out and it's matched against the output. So that's basically what a neural network is. It's kind of named after what our brains do, because our brains have neurons, neural network. So again, it's just trying to mimic the human brain. It's not the human brain, but it mimics the human brain. And something I don't think is brought up enough is how intricate it's starting to become. For example, with CLIP. CLIP is a contrastive language image pre-training. It's basically trained on zero-shot transfer, which is a subgenre or subfield or whatever subgenre. Okay, of transfer learning. I put more resources on that as well in the links, but basically let's go back to the neural network. It's the supervised learning. So you have input, black box, output. So basically what this means is it takes that already pre-trained image and it says it was trained to like identify an apple, right? So, or in oranges, let's say apple or oranges or whatever. It's trained to do something. Like you have an other object, let's say a mango or something, and then it's like trained in that, if that makes sense. There's a link that talks about it a lot better actually, but that's essentially what it is. It has pre-trained image data, and then on top of that you're putting another object and you're running it through that, if that makes any lick of sense, because I'm really trying here. That was in the article, but the article shows you pictures and stuff like that. It'll be a lot easier to understand if you really want to get deep into it. So with CLIP, it was shown to have multimodal neurons in CLIP, and we have those as well. There's like a neuron that'll fire in your brain, and it's like specific. So it's pretty cool, I would say, and I find it very intriguing that they found it in CLIP. You go read the article. It's very informative. I highly recommend people to read it. Honestly, I highly recommend you read any of these articles. They're all really great. But I think that's something that shows the complexity of what these algorithms are. And then it also shows you how little we know about their decision making as they spit out these images. But how does this all come to be, you may ask? And I feel like that's also very, very, very important. So according to this article written by Stephen Dennis on, I think it was Towards Data Science. So basically it is given through Laion, is LAIONB. And basically it's just an enormous data set that's actually scraped from the data using this other thing. I think it's called Common Crawl or something like that. They scrape data off of the web. Web scraping is a common practice. This is where we're going to go into data democratization for a little bit. A lot of these, I wouldn't call them companies, because they're just kind of like a group of people. I think the only big company that I've seen so far that I've looked heavily more into has been OpenAI. These data sets are for, and why they web scrape is to make data available to literally anyone who wants to use it, which I think is great. Midjourney, they're not a corporation. They're like 11 people. And I think that despite all this controversy, like, let's take the controversy out of it. That's fantastic what they created with 11 people using the data from these websites. Here's a caveat though, and we're going to dive into the ethics of AI art in a second. They explicitly say, especially Lion B, that is to be used for research purposes only. Because I looked, and this is uncultivated data. For research purposes, that's one thing. Because people, believe it or not, they don't benefit from research. It's not a lucrative place. You don't really benefit from research. No. But one thing is for sure is like, if your data is uncultivated and you're not, I don't know their cleaning practices, so I'm not gonna say they're not cleaning, but it does raise some suspicion as to what is in this data set. Like, how legal is it for you to use this? One thing I will say, not everything on the web is copyrighted. That's where the copyright comes in. Now, for the ethics of it, I have a little bit of a nuanced view. With AI itself and how it's trained, originality is going to be a hard sell personally for me. I don't know. Because sometimes some of these comparisons have been a little bit of stretches to me. And then others of them, like, okay, I could see it. I didn't talk about accuracy, but I will say this. There's not 100% accuracy. That's not a thing. I wish it was a thing, but it's not. So will it shoot out some copyrighted images, especially because it's uncultivated data? Yes. If it spit out something completely like yours, it should hold up in the court of law. So that's one thing I'm pretty certain about. If I'm wrong I'm not a lawyer either. So if I'm wrong, let me know. But second of all, we're going to go back into the training data. So as you know, it's trained with usually they're trained with a deep neural network or neural networks, blah, blah, blah. I don't know exactly how they were trained. I don't know if they were trained in the same way, if Dolly, for example, was trained in the same way that Clip was trained. So I don't know that. I couldn't get that far in my hour of research, basically. But I've been thinking about it for a long time. But that they were wrong for doing that. Because again, you can't use data that states, please just use this for research, and not do that. That's a big no-no for me. That's clearly unethical. And I think it's also clearly unethical, not because of the art that was generated. I believe it's unethical because copyrighted data should not be in the training set in the beginning. So I think the issue doesn't lie within the art that's generated. The issue definitely lies within the training data. And a lot of people have been trying to conflate the two. They say, just since there's a problem with the training data, it's taking my copyright or whatever. I mean, it's plagiarizing me. And I don't believe that's true. If you say I don't want my copyrighted data to be part of the training and thus you profit off of my copyrighted data, I'm 100% on you, because again, the copyrighted data should not be there in general. It should not be there. Second, a thing that I do have a kind of a personal problem about that I do see is unethical-ish. And again, I can see arguments for both sides, but again, I'm more on the side of don't do it. It's searching up a style by name. I don't think anyone's style is 100% original. I don't think that for music. I don't think that for writing. I don't think that for anything, because I think we're creatively maxed out pretty much as a society. I don't know what's going to happen next, but right now I think we're at a plateau about new creative endeavors. But at the same time, it's I do get how having in the style of or blah 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 kind of floods the market, and it was definitely brought up in the Stephen Dennis article, so you should definitely read it. Kind of goes more into depth, and it was the first time I've ever heard that argument, because again, is usually the AI plagiarized me, which, again, I don't think there's much standing on the AI being plagiarized. I think there's a lot more standing to why was my copyrighted data in your training data set. It should not have been in there, and it's unethical, because that is unethical. But again, based off how the neural network works and based off of how humans work, I don't hold for like AI art itself is bad. And let's talk about people feeling displaced, because I feel like that's something that a lot of people who are techie don't really understand. But I will say this, a lot of people are going to be displaced. But also the thing is, it might change. And I think a lot of this is new for people, and people have been this way for as long as I can remember. I remember people arguing over Procreate brushes and digital art when that became more wildly available, because, you know, Apple came up with stuff, and then people started, you know, all of this stuff, brand new technology. I remember that argument. And I'm not saying this is 100% the same, because there are different problems and different softwares and other entity, I would say, in this equation, because again, no one really knows what goes on in that black box. So to be honest, I feel like it is kind of drawing inspiration. It would be like inspiration for a person. And no, I don't think a lot of people will give credence to that, because again, they just think of this as this computer, and it's like, oh, it's just a computer. It's like, it's I'm not saying it's a sentient being, but again, it's definitely more complex than just putting something in a calculator, which I think people think it's doing. I just think it's another tool that could be used, and I don't think artists are gonna go away anytime soon. I know I keep referencing Steve Dennis. I like a couple of his solutions. One thing is like having a paid program in which people could opt in for. Artists can opt in to help train the data. He said based off royalties if like an artist's style is used. I don't know about that, because I don't know how you would determine how much of their art was used, because and hear me out a little bit before you're like, what are you talking about? Again, we don't know what goes in that box, so we don't know how much of the training data they are using that says that's like has the text description of it's this person, this person, this person. We don't know if they're just kind of matching the images. We don't really know that. So if we're gonna go based off of like how the thing is used, maybe I'm overthinking this. I think actually the more I talk, I think maybe I'm overthinking. But then also I don't think, again, it's probably not gonna be fair, because again, there's so much data in there that I think it's like, if they don't use the style, like they don't put in the style of, so would the person not get paid? But their data's in there. And I would actually like to hear some of your solutions down below too, because I like to be solutions mix. Let me hear your ideas. I want to know. I will put some fun links down below. So there's like a couple like this person's not real, or like AI stories and stuff like that. I think I'll also put an essay I wrote about unethical behavior in AI. So if you guys want to read my paper, I felt like my sister right there. So if you want to read my paper, you can. And again, I will provide links down below in a Google Doc. And in that will also be a free book tracker if you guys want it for some reason. I don't know. So yeah, my paper may or may not be there. We'll see. My book tracker, my free book tracker, it will be down below. And the links to everything I reference / everything I think you guys should read. I hope that I presented my arguments in a clear and concise manner, but only time will tell. And I hope I didn't make this for no reason, because it's 11 o'clock at night now and I'm really tired.